Jake Paul making his return to the ring after getting a knockout in his pro debut back in January. His opponent, former NBA star, three-time slam dunk champion Nate Robinson. Robinson making his professional debut in this one, and there is some bad blood. The social media sensation calling his shot on CBS Sports HQ earlier in the week.
I've been dedicating my life to boxing, and November 28th, live on pay-per-view, they're going to see Nate Robinson fall to the ground.
And the problem child, making sure we saw that a couple times on Saturday. Late in the first round, Nate charging in. Jake Paul catches him with the overhand right. Looked like this fight might be finished right there, but Nate would survive the count, got back to his feet. Then early in the second round, Jake lands another overhand right on the like and subscribe button. Nate was able to get up from that one as well, but moments after that, Jake Paul would shut the lights out with a right hand that knocked Nate Robinson down and out. Jake Paul victorious in his second trip to the ring, now 2-0. Both wins by coming by way, of the knockout after the fight. Jake Paul listing Conor McGregor, Dylan Dennis, and Logan Paul as possible future fights. He then took to social media with a simple message: it is what it is. We leave happy, they leave healthy, relatively speaking, that is, and that's really all we can ask for when you put two 50-somethings in the middle of the ring. Pay-per-view buyers did get their money's worth in the co-main event when YouTube superstar Jake Paul sent NBA veteran Nate Robinson hurling face first towards the canvas, BC. I mean, Paul walks like a fighter. He talks like a fighter. The bravado is there. He's talked about his desire to become an actual fighter. From what you saw out of him here, obviously he's going toe-to-toe with a world-class athlete, but not a boxer by any estimation in Nate Robinson. Do you see a piece of clay to be molded at all in Jake Paul?
To a degree, yes. Now, let me explain that. Look, what we have known celebrity boxing to be the last couple decades has been really gross, right? Remember Screech from Saved by the Bell going in there against Todd Bridges from Different Strokes? I mean, look, we've seen some really bad versions of it. I got to give this to the Paul brothers, both Jake, who had a nice win against Nate Robinson, and his older brother, Logan. You may not like them as internet stars and trolls and personalities, but they take the sport seriously when they get in there and touch gloves in these celebrity-esque pro fights. And I think you saw that experience was the difference in this night. Nate Robinson, the three-time slam dunk champion, he only put on the gloves for the first time 3 months ago. You had a Jake Paul who's been training for a year, scored a knockout over a fellow internet sensation to open this calendar year. I think moving forward, look, again, love him or hate him all you want. Their fights are kind of fun because it's not as sloppy as the traditional celebrity fights are. Now, look, with that said, do I think Jake Paul is a future contending in the cruiserweight division in legitimate pro boxing? No, not so fast. Hold your horses, please. Let's not do anything rash and crazy. But if there is a continued market out there to see faded celebrity names or people you hope to get knocked out, these kids, the Paul brothers, they're young, they're in shape, they can fight a little bit. It's not so bad.
An important qualifier right there. We don't want anyone coming for your press credentials at any of these fights, BC. But Jake Paul did join us here on CBS Sports HQ earlier in the week, and he talked about his desires beyond this fight on Saturday night. Let's take a listen at that.
I think after I take down a couple more opponents, Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor is going to be undeniable. I mean, there's no other fighter with as big of a platform as me that's calling him out right now. He wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao will destroy him. It'll be another embarrassing night for him, just like when he got embarrassed by Floyd. And so Jake Paul versus Conor McGregor is bound to happen. I know he's seen these interviews. I know he's seen the talk, and it's going to happen.
So the bombastic ways of Jake Paul do have a way of getting him into some situations, and sometimes those situations end up being pretty darn lucrative. He did tweet this out after the fight. I mean, what fighter with this big of a platform is calling out McGregor? It's going to happen. You will all see. He then mentions some management in Conor's camp. BC, when you look at the talk on the tail end of things here, is there a fight to be made, or is this novelty sure to wear off, as you said, when he does find himself in the ring, if he does find himself in the ring with a true fighter?
Well, look, I think if anything, 2017's Mayweather-McGregor fight told us that if you have two big enough stars with giant followings, anything can happen. I think, though, there's a little bit of a weight difference here. Let's be honest. Jake Paul has been fighting at cruiserweight, 190 pounds or so in his 2 pro performances. Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather at 154 pounds, although we did see him in MMA go as high as 170 against Nate Diaz twice. It's interesting. Would there be a market for it? Absolutely. Let's look back retroactively and give Mayweather McGregor a lot of credit. It sold 4 million plus in terms of pay-per-view buys. It was also maybe the opening of this new celebrity / YouTube boxing crossover, and the fact that it was 2 guys, a retired champion against somebody from another sport. Yeah, if they can find a middle ground and meet somewhere in the middle of the weight, I'd be interested. Would I like a Paul brother against a McGregor who does this professionally, right? Uses his hands to knock people out? Absolutely not. But hey, you shoot your shot in this era. And I think I've seen recently Logan Paul trying to lure Floyd Mayweather into one. You never can say never when people have this many millions of people subscribing to their art.
To steal a line from Paul himself, it is what it is, and it was what it was. Brian Campbell, we thank you as always for joining us here on HQ.